This is the Tom Bigby Tales, and I'm your host, Shannon Evans. This is part of the Sin City South series, and it is titled Murder at the Red Horse. Let's paint a picture of the Red Horse. It was a hole in the wall bar on the south side of Columbus in the mid 1970s. The bar was often filled with the sounds of laughter, clinking glasses, and the occasional country ballad drifting from the jukebox. Nestled near gravel pits and garment factories, it provided a refuge for those seeking solace in the bottoms of a glass. The walls were adorned with memorabilia from local sports teams, creating a sense of community pride, while the smell of fried food lingered in the air, making it a comforting space for many. The Red Horse was not just a bar, it was a gathering place where stories were shared, friendships were forged, and life's burdens were momentarily forgotten. Regulars would often engage in spirited debates about local sports teams or reminisce about their youth, creating a tapestry of shared experiences that bound them together. This sense of belonging in this hole in the wall honky tonk was palpable, and for many, yes, it probably was a second home. Among the regulars was Ernest Mason, a hard-working builder who often visited the Red Horse after a long day of framing houses. Ernest was known for his strong, determined character. He was the kind of person who would stand up for what was right, especially when it came to protecting those in need. Friends described him as a gentle giant, always ready to lend a hand or share a story. His laughter could light up the room, but beneath that jovial exterior lay a fierce sense of justice that would soon be put to the test. Ernest was not just a man of physical strength, he was also deeply empathetic, often engaging in conversations about the struggles of his fellow patrons, offering advice and sometimes even helping them financially. He understood the challenges of his community, and his willingness to listen made him a confidant for many. Whether it was helping a friend fix a leaky roof or buying a beer to discuss a broken heart, Ernest was a pillar of support in a world that often felt chaotic. Enter Gene Strickland, a dangerous man with a notorious criminal background as a low level criminal and alleged safe cracking insurance fraud expert who was a sometime hitman in the Dixie Mafia. Known for his volatile temper and a history of violence, Strickland was a figure of fear in the community. His reputation preceded him. Tales of his past altercations and run ins with the law were common gossip among the bar's patrons. One fateful evening, tensions escalated when Strickland arrived and confronted his wife Fay at the bar, slapping her and shoving her against the wall. The atmosphere shifted and the air became thick with unease. The reason for the battle? Who knew? Strickland was a hard, abusive man. Patrons exchanged worried glances, sensing that something terrible was about to happen. Fay, visibly distressed, tried to calm him down, but Strickland's anger only intensified, leading to a confrontation that would change everything. The bar, which had been filled with laughter and camaraderie moments before, now felt charged with a sense of impending doom. As Strickland's voice rose, so did the tension in the room, and the jovial conversations that once echoed off the walls faded into an uncomfortable silence. Witnessing the confrontation, Ernest couldn't stand idly by. He stepped in to protect Fay. Ernest took 2 steps from behind the pool table and poked Strickland in the back. Hey, fella, take your hands off her. Strickland, red faced, turned on Ernest. She's my wife, and this is none of your business. He grabbed his wife by her hair and started to drag her out of the bar when Ernest whacked him over the head and shoulders with his pool cue. You may do that at home, but you don't do that in a public place. Take your hands off her. Why do you care? You messing with my wife? Strickland rushed Ernest. The fight was intense, showcasing Ernest's strength as he stood up against a man known for his violent tendencies. With fists flying and voices raised, the bar erupted into chaos. The patrons watched in horror, some shouting for them to stop, while the others scrambled for safety. In that moment, Ernest embodied the struggle between right and wrong. knowing that his actions could have dire consequences. Strickland was the embodiment of fear and violence. In the heat of the moment, Strickland made a chilling promise. He would return, yeah, he would, with a gun. This threat hung in the air, foreshadowing the tragic events that were about to unfold. The patrons fell silent, the gravity of the situation sinking in. Ernest, shaken but resolute, knew that the night was far from over. The tension in the bar was palpable. As everyone sensed the impending danger, conversation ceased and the jukebox fell silent, leaving only the sound of heavy breathing and the distant hum of the outside world. The threat loomed larger than life, casting a shadow over the bar that had once felt like a safe haven. The patrons who'd come to enjoy a night of relaxation now found themselves grappling with the reality of violence and the volatility of Strickland. Ernest turned back to his pool game to finish it and the beer he had on the table across the room. He figured he would go home and forget about the entire ugly affair. Faye called from behind the bar. Ernest, you better get going. Jean meant what he said. Ernest sat down, contemplating the last few ounces of beer in the bottle in front of him. He stood up to leave, right as a truck screeched to a halt in the gravel in front of the Red Horse. Another patron by the window whispered hoarsely, Ernest, it's Strickland, and it looks like he's got a gun. Ernest hesitated, and then he heard Faye holler from the back hall, Get in here, quick. Ernest ducked in an unlit storeroom. Faye handed him a pipe. Bar that door shut and don't come out until I come get you. Ernest faced a harrowing decision. To protect himself, he hid in that storeroom where Faye handed him that pipe for protection. It was a moment filled with tension, but he knew the danger that lurked outside. Strickland's footsteps echoed in the distance, and Ernest's heart pounded in his ears, aware that his life was in real danger. The storeroom, filled with boxes and old bar supplies, suddenly felt like a prison, trapping him in a moment of uncertainty. He could hear the muffled sounds of the bar outside, patrons trying to make sense of the chaos that was unfolding, air thick with fear, and every creak of the floorboards sent shivers down their spines. Ernest fed the iron pipe through the door handle, jamming the door shut. Strickland bellowed from the front door. I told you I was going to come back and kill you. Come out here like a man. Ernest said nothing. He had no place to hide, no exit. He stood behind the door, still and silent. Strickland tried yanking the door open. It wouldn't budge. Angry and frustrated, he unloaded his gun in the door. Ernest Mason died in the dark on the storage room floor. The suddenness of the violence was shocking, leaving an indelible mark on everyone involved. The sound of gunfire shattered the night, and chaos ensued. Patrons screamed and ducked for cover. In that split second, time seemed to freeze as the reality of the situation sank in. Strickland's rage had transformed the bar from a place of refuge into a scene of terror, forever altering the lives of all those present. Ernest Mason's family had to go identify him at the morgue that night and plan a funeral. Gene Strickland stood trial, and because of how badly Ernest Mason had beat him up at the bar prior to Strickland going home for a gun, Strickland only got a justifiable homicide charge and a short sentence of less than 5 years. He was actually out in less than 2 years. The family was angry and frustrated by the lack of justice for Ernest. Real angry. They appeared at the grand jury and Strickland's trial for all the good that did. They were furious he literally got away with murder and only got a slap on the hand. Strickland served his time and returned home to Lowndes County and started a house and shed moving business. One day, he had a house on a trailer and was bringing it slowly down Highway 12 with his flag car driving behind him. He knew it was going to be dark soon, and he planned on stopping at Jemison Mill, leaving the trailer and truck overnight in a church parking lot. He'd return in the morning to take the load the rest of the way to the owner's location. He locked up the truck, got in the flag car to head home, and grabbed supper. He looked up and realized the church where he parked was just up the road from Ernest Mason's family. Boy, did that seem forever ago. Gosh, I got lucky, he thought. He mused to no one in particular. His driver took him home, and he ate dinner and crashed on the Barca lounger in front of the TV. He woke up in time for the 10 o'clock news. The newscaster was going on and on about a truck fire that was burning out in the county. Quote, the truck exploded, and the fire was so intense by the time the fire department arrived, the house on the back of the truck was also in flames. Damn, sighed Strickland. Well, at least I have insurance. Thank you for coming on this episode of Tom Bigby Tales. Until next time.